In the spring of 2015, the Milwaukee Common Council deliberated a measure to dramatically reduce the fine for first-time possession of small amounts of marijuana. That development, as well as the national debate that had emerged regarding the potential legalization of marijuana, prompted the Public Policy Forum to launch an analysis of the legal framework that guides marijuana policy in Milwaukee. In particular, we sought to shed greater light on how existing municipal marijuana laws and their enforcement were impacting citizens and law enforcement resources in Milwaukee, and to explore what lessons might be learned from the marijuana policies of other large cities. The forum released an initial report in May 2015 that summarized recent justice system data on those cited for possession of small amounts of marijuana in Milwaukee, and compared Milwaukee's legal and policy approach toward marijuana with that of other U.S. cities. Our second report, focusing on Milwaukee Police Department arrest trends and implications, was released in March 2016. Our analysis of marijuana-related arrests in Milwaukee began with an examination of trends in total arrests and drug arrests in the city. Since their peak in 2010, total arrests have decreased by 40% and drug arrests by 49%. Meanwhile, during the same period, arrests involving marijuana declined by 54%. Small-scale marijuana arrests, which we define as those involving possession of 25 grams or less with no intent to distribute and no other simultaneous violation, also have declined sharply in recent years, falling 53% from 2012 to 2015. When those arrests are broken down between those occurring under Milwaukee's municipal marijuana ordinance, which involve a first-time offense, and those that occurred under the state statute, which typically involve a second or subsequent offense, we see that both types of arrests declined considerably over the 4-year period. While blacks comprise about 39% of the city of Milwaukee's population, they were the subject of 72% of the 3,903 small-scale marijuana possession arrests in the city from 2012 through 2015. Hispanics accounted for 15% of the arrests, while comprising about 18% of the city's population, and whites accounted for 12% of the arrests, while comprising about 37% of the population. Meanwhile, 82% of the arrests from 2012 through 2015 involved individuals under the age of 30, and 88% involved males. When we broke down the arrests by geography, we found that 8 zip codes in the city had at least 7 small-scale marijuana arrests for every 1,000 residents during the 2012-2015 timeframe, while 12 zip codes had fewer than 3 arrests per 1,000 residents. Comparing the small-scale marijuana possession arrest map and the median household income map, we see the average household incomes in zip codes with higher concentrations of arrests tend to be lower than those of the zip codes with lower concentrations of arrests, meaning arrests are disproportionately occurring in poorer areas of the city. Milwaukee Police Department officials attribute this finding to the heavier police presence in areas of the city where there are the most calls for service and the most violent crime. Comparing the small-scale marijuana possession arrest map with the violent crime map generally supports MPD's contention that there is an overlap between areas with high violent crime rates and those with high rates of small-scale marijuana arrests. When we examined the resources being spent to enforce marijuana violations, we found that the average time spent by an officer engaged in a small-scale municipal marijuana arrest ranged from 3.3 to 4.4 hours. The total annual cost was $415,000 in 2012, dropping to $166,000 in 2015. The reduction is attributed both to the dwindling arrest numbers and the decline in the average arrest time between 2012 and 2015. Our research found that Milwaukee police officers arrest every individual charged with a small-scale marijuana offense, as opposed to issuing citations on the street. We calculated the potential for savings if that policy had been changed, and if every small-scale marijuana arrest during the 2012-15 timeframe instead had resulted in a citation on the street. We found that the hour savings would have ranged from $3,040 to $8,447, and the cost savings from $141,000 to $368,000. The report concludes that overall, in light of the substantial reduction in small-scale arrests, there is far less reason to be concerned about excessive use of law enforcement resources to enforce Milwaukee's marijuana laws than there was 4 years ago. Yet, there still may be grounds to consider additional modifications to city policies. The low-level marijuana arrests that are occurring are in predominantly African American and low-income parts of the city, which is cause for concern from the perspective of both social justice and police-community relations. Furthermore, the fact that arrests are occurring at all for violations that merit a maximum fine of only $50 may suggest a level of law enforcement attention that is unnecessary and imprudent. Please go to www.publicpolicyforum.org to view our full report and related data.